What's up, sports fans? It's your man D back. Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. All right, check it out, man. I've been talking about my guy Teofimo Lopez. Been doing a lot of basketball. Been kicking about MMA, son. But on this boxing side, I haven't talked about my guy Errol Spence. Now, here's the thing. Errol Spence Jr. that's my guy, no doubt. But I want you guys to think about something. Think about Errol Spence going in there to fight Danny Garcia and getting stopped. See, this is something that a lot of Spence fans, they don't want to hear it. They can't fathom it. And they don't want to accept it. But the truth of the matter is my man Spence put himself in a vulnerable situation by flipping that car over and busting all his teeth out his mouth. See, you have a lot of boxers in history that were known to have a granite chin. These boxers were known to have that iron chin. You can hit them with whatever you want to hit them with. They're not going away. But what? Damn it. Sorry about that, guys. Alarm. But one thing that's been consistent about these guys with these chins as such is that chin always gets broken. These guys with those great chins, they fight wars and take a lot of punches, but time always shows that chin eventually gets broken. And one thing about these guys with good chins, when that chin is broken, once that chin is broken, it goes from being an iron chin to an Amir Khan. Goes from being an iron chin to a Yuriokis Gamboa. That's what generally happens with these guys that have that iron chin. And that chin is eventually broken. This is what combat sports shows you. It's even happened in the UFC. You know, these guys that could take unbelievable punishment. But as time goes along, you've been taking all of that punishment, that chin breaks down. And it's generally in combat sports a significant fight or a significant opponent that will break that chin. But once that chin is broken, other guys will come behind that certain opponent, and that fighter is just never the same as he was before. And one thing that my fellow Spence fans don't want to realize or don't want to understand or even accept is that Spence's chin could very well be broken. It did not happen in a fight, which is generally what we would see, which we would usually see with these boxers and competitors, that chin would be broken in a fight. They would get in a fight with somebody who's packing a lot of power, punch like a ton of bricks, and they break that chin. And that fighter's not the same as he ever was before because that granite chin was broken. The foundation was compromised. Well, Spence fans, it may not have happened from a fighter, but the concrete could have been that hit. And you guys don't know as much as I don't know. I don't know if the concrete was that hit to break down Spence's chin, to turn his chin into something that it was not. I'm not sure if that's the case. But my fellow Spence fans, you're not sure if that's the case either. Thank you. CMB Boxing Reports. Toby Barley in the building. I'm at a stoplight right now. Thank you, CMB. CMB says Ricardo Mayorga had a chin of iron, but when it came to them body shots, it was over for him. Yeah, there's always a way to break a man down. Ain't that right, CMB? But more or less, these guys with that iron chin that gets that chin broken, they're never the same fighter. So here's my point on all of this. I wanted to tell that little story at first because here's my point. There are a lot of fans acting like Danny Garcia cannot go in here and beat Errol Spence. Had this been Errol Spence prior to his car accident, I would probably be along the line of that because I don't think that Danny Garcia is too flat-footed and he relies on counterpunching too much. And I don't think that that would have been enough to get past Errol Spence. But Errol Spence's vulnerability is his chin. And the facts are we don't know. We don't know if his chin's going to stand up. We don't know if his chin's going to break down. The facts are we don't know. And if they get into this fight and Danny Garcia stops Errol Spence, here's my question, because it is a possibility. Here's my question. The Cinderella story for Errol Spence, in my opinion, ends. It stops. It's over with. It's all over with. And I hate to sound so negative to my fellow Spence fans, but this is a reality of it, guys. If Errol Spence's chin is broken, and that car accident and that concrete decided to do that, yes, he's still a fighter. He could probably still make some more money. But Errol Spence will definitely not beat Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence, as far as 4-belt undisputed, that will definitely not happen. And Errol Spence moving up to 154, I think will disappoint a lot of people. Because if that chin is gone, the Cinderella story stops. It's over with. And I'm already willing and acknowledging that that could be the case. But my fellow Spence fans, would you be willing to accept the fact that if he goes in here and gets knocked out by Danny Garcia, you guys may have to face the reality that Errol Spence may pretty well be done. He may be turned into what could conceivably be considered a gatekeeper. And I know this is going to hurt a lot of feelings to even hear anything like that about Errol Spence. But I can guarantee you guys right now, if he goes in there and gets stopped by Danny Garcia, what value does he bring? What threat does he bring to boxing? Because let's be honest about it. Do you guys really think that Danny Garcia could clean out the 154-pound division? Do you guys actually think that Danny Garcia could go up to 154 and capture a few championships? No, I don't. So this would be the guy basically that will stop Errol Spence. And this is the guy that basically can stop Errol Spence, whether y'all want to believe it or not, because we don't know if that guy's chin is broken. It doesn't matter how good you are. Like I said, in boxing, there are a lot of guys in boxing history that have had these massive chins, but at some point in time in their career, they fought that fighter or they got into that fight and that chin was broken. And once that chin was broken, those guys were never the same fighter again. Well, it didn't happen in a fight, guys, but it could have happened in a car accident. And that concrete could have broken what we know as Spence's chin. Now, let's not be fools here. Spence's chin has a lot to do with Spence's success. See, Errol Spence wouldn't be as successful as he is if he couldn't take a punch. He wouldn't, because Errol Spence gets hit entirely too much. Entirely too much. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I put the in. Yeah. All we waiting for is for Top Rank to send me the contract, and Vasil can sign it. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm gonna dig into that. We probably talk about that later. But I will say this, guys, before my phone start acting haywire, I start going haywire. I want to say this. We don't know, man. Danny Garcia could get up in there and just basically stop this Cinderella story with Errol Spence Jr. That's the reality of it, guys. And I want to say this. If Errol Spence loses to Danny Garcia, I will still be a fan of his. I'm just not going to be. I'm not going to be thinking that Errol Spence will be one of these great fighters. I think that Errol Spence, if he loses this fight to Danny Garcia, mark my words on this, I think that that will start the decline of Errol Spence's career. I don't think that a loss to Danny Garcia, I don't think that this is going to be one of these fights that you say, well, this fighter can bounce back. No, because if Danny Garcia beats Errol Spence and stops him, to me, that's going to say that Errol Spence's chin is gone. And because I'm a Spence advocate, and I supported Spence the whole time, and I'll tell you guys right now, it was a point in time where I say Errol Spence, I believe he will beat Crawford, because I don't think that Crawford can hurt Errol Spence. But if his chin is gone, then that same logic is not there anymore. If Danny Garcia exposes his chin, then I don't have those ideas. And I think Crawford would whip the shit out of Spence. But I think that it was Spence's size, the ability and the things that he does in the ring, and the fact that he could take a punch, that all coupled with why I thought that he could beat Crawford. But if Danny Garcia goes in there and he stops Errol Spence, I am not comfortable with that assessment anymore. Not at all. I'm not comfortable with that. And I really believe that Errol Spence right now, this whole fight with Danny Garcia, as much as, you know, we're going to get back and forth about who can win, who will win, this, that, and the third. I'm telling you guys right now, it's not an excuse. Because if Danny Garcia stops Spence and whatever, I give him all the credit. He gets the championship, everything. Spence said that he's ready. His camp said that he's ready. So they're not utilizing the car accident as an excuse. And neither will I. Once he climbs in that ring, he's a fighter. If he wins the fight, he wins. If he loses the fight, he loses. If he struggles in the fight, he struggles. And I'm not going to say it has anything to do with his chin. This is the path that you take as a fighter. And Danny Garcia gets all respect. But I will tell you guys this. If Danny Garcia stops Errol Spence, the Cinderella story is over. I don't think he's going to be that great at 154. I don't think he'll ever clean out the 147 division. And to be perfectly honest, if Danny Garcia stops Errol Spence, I'm not even sure if he'll be able to recapture a belt at 147. Because think about it. You got Manny Pacquiao sitting there with one. Danny would have beaten Spence. He ain't going to fucking beat Terrence Crawford. So if he loses those two belts to Danny Garcia, what is the probability of Errol Spence even recapturing the title at 147? Which, to me, is also a low probability because it's not long before he has to move to 154 anyway. So if he loses this fight with Danny Garcia, even if he tried to recapture a belt at 147, he's going to have to start draining himself. But if Danny Garcia exposes his chin, then what the hell do you think happens to him at 154? This is something that all of you Spence fans, you diehard and fanboy-ass Spence fans need to think about. Y'all don't have to accept the fact that his chin may be vulnerable. Y'all don't have to accept the fact that that car accident and busting all the teeth out of his damn mouth may have compromised that iron chin. That iron chin may not be iron as it was before because it may be compromised because the concrete may have compromised that iron chin. You guys have to realize and accept that this is what we may have in our fighter, Errol Spence. And if Danny Garcia goes in there and he stops Errol Spence. In my opinion, guys, the Cinderella story is over. If Danny Garcia goes in there and stops Errol Spence, I'm going to be real bold right here. And I love Spence. This is my guy. I just speak the truth, whether it's my guy or not. If Danny Garcia goes in there and exposes Errol Spence, I'm going to be as bold to say I don't think that Errol Spence will ever be a world champion again. The Cinderella story will end. So, guys, I see the comments about Loma and everything, but I'm on the way to my mom's house, and I got to be at Gun Rights, get ready to do this prediction, NBA predictions. So I just wanted to talk about Spence right quick on this ride out to my mom's house, and I'll kick it a little bit. I still got about 5 minutes. But, you know, again, I love Spence. That's my man, bro. That's my guy. And I still think if he gets past this fight with Danny Garcia, and, you know, he's actually able to succeed, then I'll go as far as to say that Crawford-Spence fight, you know, 50-50. Because I felt like after the Porter fight that, you know, Errol Spence lost the edge because of the way he struggled with Porter. But, man, I still got to see more out of Crawford. And Crawford ain't doing shit, bro. And we can say that Spence struggled with Porter and Crawford's so much better, yeah, but Crawford got dropped by Judas Kalbalaskas. So he showed some weaknesses, too. He was dropped by Judas Kalbalaskas. So as far as I'm looking at it, both of these guys have their vulnerabilities. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. And I'm talking about without the chin situation. Both of these guys have their vulnerabilities. Terrence Crawford's mental, people talk about a mental game. Let me tell you guys something about a mental lapse in Terrence Crawford. Because this is a mental game, boxing is. Terrence Crawford, this is a mental lapse. When you're in this idea, if you punch me, I'm going to get you back. I have to punch you back. Because sometimes Terrence Crawford will go as far as to putting himself in danger trying to fire back, trying to get revenge on a shot taken in a match. That is a mental lapse, guys. That's a mental lapse in a fight because mentally you're supposed to stick to the game plan. You're not supposed to get angry and try to go get that guy just because he hit you. And Terrence Crawford does that often. That's a mental lapse. Both of these guys have their flaws. No fighter's perfect. So if he goes in there and he does what he's supposed to do to Danny Garcia, then the Cinderella story continues. He may clean out the 147-pound division and move on to 154 and find success. But I'll tell you guys something right now, my fellow Spence fans. If our dude goes in there and he gets knocked out by Danny Garcia, I don't give a damn if y'all want to accept it. I don't give a damn if y'all want to agree with me or not. If this happens, my guy Errol Spence is just another good fighter. That's all he'll be. He'll be a test for young fighters coming up to see if they're good. That's all Spence will ever be if he loses this fight by stoppage, if he gets stopped by Danny Garcia. Because I'm telling you guys now, as much as I praise Spence, as much as I say the things that he can do and skills that he has that people just don't recognize, Spence's overall boxing pedigree, everything that he does, everything that he brings to the table, his chin has a lot to do with that. And if his chin is compromised, it knocks off a lot of the things that he's able to do in the ring. Because a lot of the things he's able to do in the ring is consistent with him having a good chin. And if he doesn't have a good chin, he ain't going to be able to do those fucking things in the ring because he will be somewhere slumped the fuck over. If Spence didn't have a good, if Spence wasn't a fighter that had a good chin, Sean Porter would have stopped him. Kell Brook would have stopped him. Lamont Peterson would have stopped him. And I don't care what any of you guys say. If Spence did not have a good chin, those three guys would have stopped Errol Spence. Regardless of whether y'all want to agree with that or not. I'm telling you right now, if you know what you're watching in that ring, And you look at the Lamont Peterson fight, the Sean Porter fight, and the Kell Brook fight. If Spence's chin was not what it was, those guys would have fucking stopped him. And if his chin is compromised, that's the fighter that we'll have, guys. Whether you want to accept it or not, that is the fighter in an Errol Spence that we have. If he goes in there and he gets stopped by Danny Garcia, I'm telling you guys now, the Cinderella story is all over with. So my fellow Spence fans, you better hope that that chin ain't compromised. But it is a vulnerability, and it is a question whether you want to ask yourself that question or not. There is a question if our guy Spence's chin will still hold up. And if that question, if the answer to that question is no, the Cinderella story is over with. Spence, in my opinion, will never become a world champion again. He will not win it at 154, and he'll probably become a gatekeeper if he decides to stay in the sport of boxing. And I know a lot of you don't like that and don't like to hear that. So drop a comment. Let me know how you feel. For everybody that came in the chat today, let me get some shout outs to you guys right quick before I go here. Toby Barlett, my man, CMD Boxing Reports, appreciate you. You're not unbiased boxing and true crime, my man. Appreciate you. Don Machiavelli, gun rights. We get ready to go on in a little bit. Gun rights. Appreciate you, my man. I buy houses. My brother Joe in here. Spring Rose, what's good with you? Appreciate all y'all coming through. And get ready to Spring Rose. Unbiased is far from dumb and dude. Speak Your Mind Sports Talk live daily. Spring Rose, 12:30. I'm starting today. Come click that link and talk about it with Unbiased. We'll see how that plays out. Hey guys, y'all know how I always in this thing. For the love of sports, let's talk about it. Peace.